Is that VGM?
It is VGM. Yes, I
Okay.
should have said it. Yes,
I've always
VGM
wanted to go to
Club.
that.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of music. It's gonna be a. I have a sneaking suspicion it's gonna be a lot of similar songs, but done in different ways. So
Look forward to a recap on that, man. Take a bunch of pictures and stuff. Have a good time and safe travels as well.
for sure. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Speaking of video games and stuff, we will talk about the Super Mario Galaxy movie. This movie is a sequel, as I mentioned, to the Super Mario Brothers movie back in 2023. And I probably opined it in the review on Sleepless, but I know I did it on my review at stevepulaski.com. In my review of the original movie, which I was pretty positive on, was fairly positive, I would say. I thought that, and I was correct in assuming this, I don't know if this is going to have a lot of staying power. It's a pretty thin movie to begin with. Not to say it wouldn't be a success, not to say that it wouldn't be, appreciated by its target audience, but I thought that it's just thin for what it is. I don't see this as being like an enduring work of animation or something we go back when when we're in the 2030s and we're talking about animation of the last decade or animated movies. I think we're going to be quicker to remember Spider-Verse and some other movies faster than the Super Mario Brothers movie. But I opined that I would hope that this was more of a trial run, and a sequel or sequels would maybe take a little bit more narrative risk. And that is not the Super Mario Galaxy movie, unfortunately, too. This is a movie that, and I really think we don't talk enough about how catastrophic both the final product and the outcome and the everlasting effect of that atrocity that was the 1993 Super Mario Brothers movie, the Bob Hoskins, John Leguizamo movie, because Nintendo had not licensed their properties to be made into movies for 25 years after that. It wasn't until Detective Pikachu came out that Nintendo actually gave another studio the rights to make a movie on their characters. And then that kind of proved to be the trial run for the Super Mario Brothers movie and now this sequel. And I think after that, which was a fascinating failure on all fronts, the 93 Mario Brothers movie, though, it's now made Nintendo so protective over Super Mario on the big screen that we are going to get movies that are a lot like this, that are chock-a-block of Easter eggs, familiar characters, about 6 different subplots as opposed to one plot, and a lot of colorful kaleidoscopic fireworks. And that's really what this movie boils down to in so many words. Joe, I'll start with you. Where do you want to take Super Mario Galaxy?
live and online. It's Sleepless with Steve and the Movie Book Club with your host, Steve Pulaski.
Back and better than ever. It's Sleepless with Steve live on YouTube on a Tuesday. The club's not the only thing going up today. Good to be with you wherever you may be, however you may be listening. Come to you live and in living color, typically every Wednesday at 6:30 Central Time, though today is Tuesday at 6 Central. I'm to blame. Catherine and I are going tomorrow night. We're going to a screening of Over Your Dead Body, the new Yorma Taccone movie with Jason Segel and Samara Weaving, which who knows, we might review here in a couple of weeks as well. So I'm very interested to see how this thing's going to transpire. So looking forward to that, going to that screening. And these gentlemen were gracious enough to oblige in the rescheduling process of this. I'm not going to lie. If we did the drama last week and Super Mario this week, I would have probably said, I trust you guys with Super Mario. You know, I would have probably said, I think you guys can handle Super Mario Galaxy. I wanted to be here for the drama review, though. And I think both of you can understand why. So this is the new Christopher Borgli movie with Robert Pattinson and Zendaya. It's been promoted pretty heavily for an A24 movie for the last couple of months with different teaser posters. I think they took out an ad in, was it the Boston Globe, I think, possibly?
It was the Globe, yeah.
It was the Globe. Yeah, they took out an ad in the Globe in like the love letters section or like the advice column or whatever to like cordially invite you to the wedding of these characters and everything. So there's been some really elite marketing behind this thing. And it's proven to be one of the most successful A24 films in the company's history as well, too, with already 43 million grossed worldwide, which is damn impressive for a movie of this caliber. So we got to make time for it, carve out a little bit of time till about 7 o'clock, I would say, on Sleepless with Steve. Got Joe Viso, Dominic Guanzon with me today. We're going to jump right in just a few minutes. But, Joe, how are you doing on this very atypical Tuesday?
I'm doing pretty good. We were talking about in the green room the weather that's happening in our location out here. And, man, if there's one thing I've been getting really annoyed of, it is the amount of storms we've been getting of, like, severe thunderstorms, severe this, severe that, tornado this, tornado that. And it's just like April showers came heavy this year. They are not messing around. They are like, yeah, we're here. You're tired of that snow? Are you sure? Are you sure you're tired of that snow? Because here we come. And it's like, oh, man, maybe the snow wasn't so bad after all, when it's just like I literally just can't go outside because there's just so much rain. There's just so much lightning. There's just so much wind.
It's disgusting outside, too, humidity-wise.
There's that, too. It is very hot outside. Well, not very hot, but it is pretty hot outside. Mixed in with, of course, the winds and everything, it probably makes it feel even worse. It's definitely, like, funny enough, it's definitely made reviewing some of the movies just a bit tricky, because every time I've gone to see a movie so far that we reviewed for like the past 4 weeks since like these storms have been happening, every time I've had to go see a movie, the drive home is through like one of the like worst like rainstorms I could be driving through at the moment. And it feels like the clouds just hovering above me, because like I'm like texting other people like at a stoplight. I'm like, man, this weather sucks. They're like, man, it's all clear by me. And I'm like, the fuck is this thing just following me home the entire time, like the Nope cloud? And so yeah, I'm just like, you know, can't wait to get out of April, and hopefully knock on wood that the weather does get better here for everybody.
Dom, how are you tonight?
I am doing a-okay, and I did want to share something. I am so sorry, Joe. I'm gonna put you in the hot seat for putting something up. So my sincere apologies. But as you know, I have been participating in journalistic activities. Joe, it's coming through now. Journalistic activities when it comes to stuff that's going in Chicago, stuff at protests, stuff at ICE detention centers here in Chicagoland. And I've been doing that, the DNC in 2024. So the past year and a half, I've been participating in journalistic endeavors. And just this past Monday, I actually waited until today to tell you guys. I got my first byline. I wrote my first article for a real Chicago publication.
Okay.
A real newsroom. and it's specifically about the dildo-themed protests happening outside of the ICE detention center in Broadview, Illinois. So that was compared to everything else, relatively to that day was very chill and a lot of goofy ass photos. But it was a still a very provocative protest. There was still some yelling at police officers, specifically ICE agents, and all sorts of shenanigans. I think my favorite part was there was a table dedicated to teaching people how to apply a tourniquet, which is a vital life saving tool for first aid and trauma. But they used dildos as the appendage, as the practice appendage, which I thought was very funny. Apparently, they had received boxes and boxes of dildos from some unconfirmed source, but the rumor is that it was a sex
was me.
shop that. But regardless, yes, I have my first byline, my first
Congratulations.
actual journalism byline. So I wanted to get that on the record, and very happy about that. Very proud of that. So yeah.
Congratulations, my friend.
Congrats,
Been a
Dom.
good time. I'm not an official publication by any means or an accredited publication by any means too, but you also got the byline for that Partners
Yes.
documentary review that you did back
That's true.
Back
That
in
is
November.
true. Honestly, Steve, I'm so used I'm so used to just making content with you that it doesn't even register.
I know. You know, I was gonna say no, it was an excellent guest review on my website too, so I do appreciate that as well.
You're right.
Man.
I should say this is my first review with a Chicago newsroom that specifically studies police violence.
Oh no, I
So,
wasn't discrediting them and trying to prop myself up. I was like, no, your written works have appeared in so many different ways too. Like I said,
That's
no,
true.
this is a real publication. You know. No,
I don't know, man. I don't know. I think Steve Pulaski's been quoted for the God's Not Dead Wikipedia page somewhere.
Yeah.
Someone who was really studying that put that on there. So that was cool.
Congratulations, though, my friend, and I'm
Thank
happy
you.
you
Thank
can
you
make
very
the
much.
opportunity. I'm happy you can make the opportunity to finagle your schedule because I know you're very busy too, like you, Joe, for the drama tonight on this Tuesday evening. Christopher Borgle's new movie too. Now, I don't think you saw it, Dom. Joe, did you see Borgle's last movie, Dream Scenario, with Nick Cage?
No, I did not.
I missed his first mainstream movie. It was called Sick of Myself a few years ago. I missed that one, but I did see Dream Scenario last year, and now having seen, he's only made I think 4, so I've seen 2. Borgli is a Norwegian filmmaker. Reminds me a lot of Yorgos Lanthimos in a way. A little bit more grounded, less fantastical than Yorgos. But what I kind of see him as is, and this is going to be hard to draw on if you haven't seen Dream Scenario, but he kind of sees himself, I was writing in my review, like a cinematic jester. Like he kind of, Borgli, who wrote and directed the drama, sort of likes to take the piss out of humans in that way, kind of expose them for their vulnerabilities, their flaws, their insecurities, make it lighthearted at the same time, like raising the stakes and sort of putting his characters in like a rat in a maze sort of setting. That's kind of what I drawn on because Dream Scenario, going back to Borgle's last movie, which came out I think 2 years ago, that was a movie about Nick Cage as a college professor who starts getting randomly attacked in public by people, like violently assaulted. And he comes to realize from one of his students that society is starting to have nightmares involving him, like having bad dreams with him, people that have never met him.
It sounds like an SCP, if you know what that is.
I do not.
Yeah, it's not the backrooms, but it's a backrooms-esque thing where it's like, okay, weird shit is just happening now.
And it's like sort of a collective amongst people then too. And that was a fascinating movie. The way I kind of read it, I think there's multiple ways to read it, but the way I read it, Dream Scenario, was it's kind of a movie about like what happens when your reputation gets away from you and sort of like your image starts becoming something you cannot control. That's kind of how I looked at it. It was very funny. It was a very funny movie. Serious at times, well played, kind of juggles genres. And now the drama, which is getting a lot more attention than Dream Scenario ever did, Definitely shows an evolution or sort of a continuation of this sort of formula for Christopher Borgli, this kind of jester-like figure who sort of takes these like college educated, preppy individuals and sort of exposes them for their hypocrisies and such. This movie's set in the East Coast, I think Massachusetts, and revolves around a couple, Emma and Charlie, played by Zendaya and Robert Pattinson. And the movie opens with their sort of meet awkward turned meet cute. And then after a collection of scenes, it paces forward and catches up to them as they're engaged a few days before the wedding, where they decide amongst their friends to play a game of what was the worst thing, what the worst thing you've ever done in life. And it gets Emma to reveal something that shocks everybody, in particular Charlie. It's this unexpected revelation very close to the wedding. It alienates her best friend, who's played by Elena Heim, who you probably remember from Licorice Pizza. And essentially then, Charlie's got to grapple with this newfound revelation about his fiance with the wedding imminent and also getting like her justification about this. Now, it's hard to talk about this movie to so many degrees. We do not want to spoil it. We're not going to reveal the secret here. We're not going to reveal that. I think I said it in my review. It honestly has nothing to do with infidelity. It has nothing to do with any of that, which is even more brave, I think. I felt like that would have been cheap if it would have had to do something with that. I felt like that would have been cheap. This is a serious revelation, though, and it's one that I didn't see coming. So, and the way it's handled is really, really exemplary in a lot of places, too. I mentioned this before I throw it over to you, Joe. I mentioned this last week on the show towards the end of our Super Mario review and briefly teasing the drama show. I said this is one of the first movies I can remember in a long time where it seems like audiences are getting it a little bit more than critics. I've been very impressed by the discourse of this thing, be it on Letterboxd or even the stray clippings I see on Twitter. I've been more impressed with that than I have with the commentary from critics. And critics have been mixed positive on this, but they haven't probed it as much as I'm seeing other people review it. And I just find that very interesting. I'll throw it over to you to talk about the drama, Joe.
Okay, there we go. My mic wasn't working for a second. I'm like, oh no, here we go. Technical difficulties already. Yeah, so I saw this the first time the Thursday it came out. So last week or 2 weeks ago, whenever the hell this was released. 2 weeks ago, yeah. I went to the Thursday night opening, and I was shocked when I got the tickets like right away because I was looking forward to this movie based on the cast and everything, and I was like, they're kind of keeping it a mystery of like what this whole thing is that Zendaya's character apparently did. And when I walked into the theater, I was really shocked to see like, oh man, this theater is just full of people. Like every row is practically full. Even the very front rows are even filled with people. So I'm like, cool. So sat down, movie started and everything, and I'm just thinking, oh, this is gonna be like, just like some kind of rom-com type of thing, and we'll learn what this thing is and what happened, what goes from there. And then when it is revealed, dude, the theater was so quiet. You can hear like people like squirming a bit in their seats. And as the movie goes along, it was one of the most uncomfortable like times I had in a theater full of people, and I loved every minute of it because of that. I loved how this movie navigated through its story, how it handled its humor even while dealing with a serious topic, because once it's revealed what it actually is, you're like, oh shit, like this is a lot more serious than I thought. And it escalates there in the same scene with Rachel, the maid of honor, goes off on Emma, Zendaya, the bride to be. She goes off on her there. Charlie, the groom, is now like, what the hell am I gonna do? And like, you're sitting there thinking like, dude, what the hell is gonna happen? Like, their wedding's in like 5 days. And now he's just finding out about all this stuff about Emma now. And right when I thought, like, I don't know how the hell they're going to incorporate comedy into this, they meet up with a photographer for their wedding. And, dude, it was like relieving so much pressure out of my stomach from how hard I was laughing at that scene. And then from there, it just clever, in very clever ways, finds a way to stitch in humor while also talking about a very serious subject, but also even going into just like the mental aspect of this person and what they were going through and how people could see them and how the world might see them differently because of this. And it just keeps, and on top of all that, this is all stuff dealing with Emma's character. We start to go and follow Charlie throughout the movie, who I would say is like, of the two main characters, you follow mostly Charlie's point of view the entire time. I would say like he is like the main character of the main characters, because like even the way he sees his wife now, he views her differently. There are times where they play with perspective that I thought was really cool, where one of my favorite moments in the movie, if you catch it, there's a photograph that's hanging up on the refrigerator, and throughout the movie the photograph keeps changing depending on how he's viewing Emma at that point in time. Even Emma herself is viewed differently to him at different points in time. Sometimes he sees her as the adult version of her, sometimes he sees her as a different version of her, and I don't want to get into that because that might kind of reveal what it is. But my favorite thing about all this is, of course, like, I'm feeling uncomfortable, but like also I'm changing like perspectives on every character as the movie's playing out. Like as the movie like continues to play, at first I'm like, dude, Charlie, like, man, maybe you should call this thing off and try to work things out. But then like as the movie plays out, I'm like, okay, like she's starting to make sense. I kind of see where she's coming from. Maybe we should just talk about this. And then Charlie does stuff, and it's like, whoa, what are you doing, buddy? And then all the while, like, you have the wedding party with Rachel, and it's like my viewpoint of hers changing as the movie's going on, where it's just like, okay, like, I understand why you might be so angry about this and everything. And then it's like, okay, now I feel like you're projecting here, constantly as the movie's evolving. It's just like, wow, my viewpoints of all the characters are evolving, and as the movie progresses, I'm just more and more like entertained. I'm being pulled in. I'm being sucked into the movie, to where I found myself, once you get to the climax of this movie, which is just going to be just all talking, I'm like leaning forward like this is about to be the biggest showdown like in a Western movie. Like this is like a final gunslinging duel that's about to happen, a final shootout and everything. And I'm just like, I can't wait to see this all play out. And like, again, having a theater full of people, hearing them gasp, hearing them go, oh my God, like out loud. It was not only like a great time to have a full like an audience that was just into this movie, but it's one of my favorite moments ever viewing a movie with a movie theater audience. I could keep going, and I got plenty more stuff to say, but that's like the general gist of what I want to talk about. So I'm going to pass it off to Dom.
This is a masterfully crafted, just Hitchcockian, suspense-filled film that just leans really on hardcore on its characters, even more so than I think it's writing. Although there's so many choices in like flashbacks and editing and gags and stuff like that it's a super flowing, very fun, very cringe-inducing, but also intense movie, because it's a wedding. That's the thing, is that this, I don't know if I mentioned it to you guys before, but weddings are always often depicted, but also true, as like a extremely high stress thing in people's lives, and people change for weddings. It's insane. If you've heard all kinds of stories, there's all kinds of Reddit stories too about people, just acting just fucking crazy for weddings. And the drama, it's not even so much the weddings that are pushing people crazy. It's more so the things that people reveal about themselves when they are revealed information about other people. So yes, it really revolves around Zendaya's character's revelation to everyone else. And I couldn't help but feel like sympathy for her. Really, this is going more so into analysis than it is to review. But when Zendaya's character reveals stuff, everyone just really, treats her differently. Yeah. And I understand there's going to be a degree of that, but I was sitting there the whole time. Opposite of Joe, I was completely by myself because my movie was at 10 o'clock at night. That's a whole thing. But regardless, I'm sitting there going like, everyone is just reacting to this in the worst possible way. For something
It doesn't
that
help. There were like
genuinely-
4 glasses of wine in too when this is
there were
like being
4
done.
glasses of wine in, and they brought it upon her. They brought it on her. They asked her to disclose the thing, right? So I'm like, Jesus Christ. So maybe there's some slight writing choices, specifically just portrayal of certain plot beats that I could critique, but really the kineticism and the reveals and the reactions from every single one of these actors is so damn good that I had a really good time. This is one of the most intense movies of the years in some ways, as you're just waiting for the hammer to drop. Multiple hammers that people have just chucked into the air straight up, and you're just waiting for it to fall back down on them. It's really good.
I wrote on my letterbox, I'm like, this is like the most insane car crash I've ever seen, and I can't help but not look away. Like, it's just like
it's like an Office episode.
Yeah.
Like Scott's Tots, if you know that episode.
Yeah. It's just like, oh my God. Like, it's like, oh, that guy got rear-ended and he's being pushed into that fire hydrant, and that fire hydrant is shooting water, and now this person's slipping on the sidewalk, and he just spilled a banana, and the banana's on the road, and it's just like, oh my God, bro. Everything's just going in the wrong way.
The 75-year-old, the 80-year-old Vietnam vet with PTSD comes out swinging with a rifle, thinking that it's like a war going on. He's having a flashback. It's just like, wow, worse can this get? And there's so many dominoes that were set up throughout this film that just come crashing down spectacularly that we can't go too much into it without getting into some spoilers. But I think there is plot points about infidelity. There's plot points about people's past and certain violent things. I'm not even talking about the big one. And then other bit players that show up. Like there's a character named Blake who's just this big dude.
Oh my God, yeah.
Who gets into a fight, and it's like we get like a minute with him at most, but he kills it. Where it's like, yeah, I think I know everything I need to know about this dude. He's just the most dude that I've seen in a film in a while. But regardless, Joe, I don't know if you had anything else based off of that.
Yeah,
but I wanted to get into basically the 2 main characters here, Zendaya.
Yeah. I didn't know if you wanted to go into like further analysis or anything regarding that. The one thing I just want to add on is like the thing that I loved most about that dinner scene, and I saw this movie twice now because that's how much I really enjoyed it, that I want to go back and watch it again. Like when I first left the theater, I was like, that was really, really good. I'm like, this is like I could see this like in my honorable mentions. And like just like Challengers, the longer this movie sat with me, the more I was like, no, hold on, I gotta go see this again. I need to see this a second time, knowing the context of everything now. And just seeing that, and I watched like so much. My favorite thing about that dinner scene is what each person is revealing. They actually did that. But when you get to Zendaya's character, it was just like, well, the thought occurred to me. Yeah, the thought. And she's the one being crucified on the cross. It's just like, whoa. Like, I get it. At first, it's a knee-jerk, like, whoa, what the hell? Like, type of reaction. But, like, upon, like, thinking about it more, it's like, wait, hold on. Like, let's think back to what some of you people did. Like, that wasn't cool either.
Well, really? Yeah, no, 100% it wasn't cool. Really, it just comes down to, yeah, this whole episode really was a filter for their marriage.
Yeah.
And how, or like their very upcoming marriage. And it's like, yeah, this was the test. You didn't realize it, but this was the test. Zendaya revealed something and you all reacted in this way.
Yeah.
Because I'm sitting there going like, look, if this was my partner, hypothetically speaking, I'd be like, oh, let's talk about this. And they don't talk about it. They don't. No, they treat her like a ticking time bomb. And then everything else becomes a ticking time bomb because of that decision. And it's just a comedy of I call this a uniquely American comedy of errors because of the subject matter.
It's so funny because it's like Charlie, like, I love watching his progression throughout the movie because at first he's kind of like, all right, like, at the dinner scene, he's kind of like, whoa, like, all right, Rachel, you're kind of being like, you're kind of blowing this out of proportion. Let's just talk about this. And then his best man talks to him later. He's like, no, man, look, you got to call your parents. Don't tell them to fly in from London. They got to don't do this, man. You got to blow this thing off. And he's like, well, like, let me just talk to her about it. And like, the more he talks to her, he's letting other people's opinions start like perceiving how he's seeing her. And it's like, it's such an interesting way to have like almost like the unreliable narrator of like a story, but it's like he's not the narrator of the story. It's just like you're just seeing his perspective of things. And it's just like any other movie where like shit gets out of hand this much and this bad, you would probably be like, okay, this is overdoing it now. I think the amount of time you spend with Charlie and how much you see like people get to him in terms of like, no, dude, like, how are you not seeing that this is totally wrong? And then him also being like, but that's my wife. That's, I'm going to marry her and everything. And like just the downward spiral he starts having, it's just like, dude, no, it feels honestly, as crazy as it gets, it feels realistic at times. There's even a scene where he does something to a coworker of his. Even how that's played out is just like, why did that feel so fucking real? Like, I guess it was just like, it's so, any other movie, again, it would have been dramatized. It would have been like blown out of proportion and everything. It would have been very dramatic. But here, it's so downplayed that like, because of how downplayed it is and how just like nonchalant one person was about it, it almost made things worse because it was just like, Jesus Christ, like, as this movie can't get any crazier, now this person's getting looped into it.
Apologies for the absence there. Briefly, we had tornado sirens go off. Severity with Steve. Anyway, moreover, though, that's where the drama's occurring tonight, is out here. Anyway, the one thing I want to make sure I mention about this, too, you guys are having a great discussion. As integral to the drama's success as anyone, and that's Borgley, Robert Pattinson, Zendaya, even Elena Heim, quite frankly, is a man named Joshua Raymond Lee. He's the editor. Because this movie is so well edited, this movie finds an early rhythm in the beginning where it interjects sort of flash cuts of previous moments in time to sort of contextualize things. But it'll be like the present, and then you'll get like maybe a rapid fire 10 to 15 second clip show, sort of like edited in time with a little bit of music to give you the preceding events. And it's just enough context so you know where you're at in time and place. I thought the editing in this movie was absolutely outstanding. It is so important to this movie too, I think, is its assembly and its structure. Joe mentioned it earlier, that scene that he was talking about, which involves Zoe Winters, a wedding photographer, which is probably the funniest scene in the entire movie. It is so hilarious because of what precedes it and how basically the previous scene sets up the punchline for then Zoe Winters in a completely different setting to deliver unintentional barbs to the couple with a really strong, never failing, like, ear-to-ear smile. And it plays with context, it plays with time, it plays with a sense of presence, and it is bizarrely effective. And it's so effective too that I think it's a sneaky reason why this movie feels so pointed and so and so just, I guess, like prompts such a reaction, is because of how well this is edited. I don't think you can say Joshua Raymond Lee's name enough here. He did exceptional work in the editing room.
There's also just like a little Easter egg. Like, there's also just a lot of actors in this movie who have appeared in a lot of A24 projects. Like, it's just like not necessarily just like the main people. Like Robert Pattinson, obviously you have The Lighthouse, and I think he did one more. But it's all these other like Zoe Winters. Zoe Winters was in The Materialist last year. She was Sophie in that movie. And then you have Misha, Robert Pattinson's coworker, played by Haley Gates. She is in oh my god, I forget what A24 movie it is. But like the entire time I was watching this, Uncut Gems. There we go.
And she was in a brief scene in Marty Supreme too.
And that too, yeah, that's right, yeah. I was just like, man, I'm like, it's just fun seeing like some of these other characters like pop up. Like, they're just like they're just here for this scene, but it's like, wait a minute, you're from another A24 movie. It's almost just like A24 was just like, oh, we got a hit on our hands, but like let's just like bring back some alumni that we have with our movies and just have like little fun like pop-ups here and there.
I haven't seen a ton of his stuff, but Mahmoud Athi, who plays the best man of Pattinson's Charlie, Mahmoud Athi was in a really great movie about 9 years ago. It was called Patty Cakes, and it was a really one of the best movies that shit. I don't even know if it made $1 million in theaters. It was. I saw it on like a Sunday at like 3:50 p.m. like the opening weekend, and that was it. I haven't heard much about it since. It's about a young woman who lives in a trailer park and she's trying to become a rapper, and Mahmoud Athi in the movie plays another rapper with a bunch of piercings in his face, and his name's Bastard. And he's so good in that, and I just love seeing his evolution. I think he's like the emotional, level-headed soul of the movie. I think his character's easy to overlook because he's roped into the drama, but he's not like, he's still kind of on the periphery of it. He almost just assumes the thankless task of damage control. But he's really good here too.
Man,
he's really good.
He was trying to keep that wedding moving forward. He was trying his best. Every time something was happening at that wedding towards the end of the movie, he's just like, okay, now we're gonna start doing this. Like, let's just keep things moving.
Is supposed to do. You know what I mean? Like, so I mean, he really plays that role extremely well, and he's just got like my grandmother used to say, he's got like a kind face. You know what I mean? Yes. And that's that he's really integral to this. And I will say also, just this is really a great showcase for Pattinson and Zendaya.
Yeah.
But most of all, too, because like, and they've done movies. I mean, Zendaya almost, it's funny, like Zendaya kind of almost more so. They've done movies where they can just play characters. They're not like beholden to a franchise or like IP or something like that. Like Zendaya, like Malcolm and Marie, Challengers, you know, she's 29, I think, 30-ish, and she's gotten some really meaty roles. It was refreshing to see both of them though just play characters. Like, I like Pattinson as Batman. No disrespect. But just seeing them act, and Pattinson act with his native tongue, too. We don't see that very often either.
That's true, too, yeah.
And I'm like, Jesus Christ, no wonder you Americanize your accent. You sound like Woody Allen nervous in your native English over here.
After Mickey 17, especially.
Oh, yeah.
That was the highest pitched fucking voice he's ever put on, I think.
I'm like, no, it's a fine voice, but I'm like, man, you can really hear like the neuroses in his voice, in his natural speaking voice.
Something with the devil starring Tom Holland.
The Devil All the Time.
The Devil All the Time, where he was like a pastor and he was like, what the frick are you doing with your voice, bro?
Or the what is it? The Studio Ghibli movie where he played the bird that like talked like this the whole time. I forget what it's called. The Boy in the Harem.
I didn't see that. Yeah, it was the Boy in the Harem. I didn't see that, so I'll take your word for that too. I almost forgot. Yeah, he was in The Devil All the Time too. He might have been English. I can't remember. He might have used his English accent in Good Time. The first movie the Safdie brothers made.
Yeah,
I'm not sure on that.
He did actually. Yeah, he used just.
Did he? Okay.
No. He used like an American accent. Never mind. He used an American accent for that movie because he was living in New York and everything.
This is a really good discussion of the drama so far. We're going to pivot here, though, because we're about 2 minutes on the intermission clock here, and I want to give extra time and make sure that we can land the plane on this, because I still think there's some more things to discuss. I definitely wanted to make clear the editing, though. It's probably not the last time I'm going to bring it up, though. That was one of the things I was most excited to touch on, was just how I think Joshua Raymond Lee does a phenomenal job executing this story. You wouldn't think editing would play a huge, significant role in a linear story like this, but it adds another dimension that really took me for a great ride, and I think took most everybody who's seen it for a great ride. We'll be back here in just a couple of minutes on a special Tuesday night episode of Sleepless with Steve. We will be back very shortly after a Zoom sponsored intermission. Don't go anywhere. It's Sleepless with Steve live on YouTube.
It's ever when things were just so slapdash at the last minute. No, a 3.5 out of 4 stars. This was great.
Really great discussion, guys. We will move forward, briefly touch on this. I do want to give this a little bit of time because we mentioned it about a month ago, and there's been a not totally an update, but a bigger, more deep dive on it. It's less a news story now, and it's becoming more of a feature. Really, thanks to this excellently made variety piece by Adam B. Very. It has to deal with the Blair Witch Project actors, which we talked about a couple of weeks ago. I'm friends with Joshua Leonard on Facebook, so I saw when he posted this initially, this whole thing of calling out Blumhouse and calling out the studio behind the Blair Witch Project as well, which was Artisan Entertainment at the time, for not giving them their royalties and really not getting due compensation for a movie that was generationally effective, made hundreds of millions of dollars, and is still an ensuing cultural staple that now has a sequel and a soft reboot made since then. The title of the article is called "The Blair Witch Project Actors Call Out Quote Unquote Reprehensible Behavior After Missing Out on Profits for Decades." This is an exclusive to Variety by Adam B. Very. What basically Adam B. Very did was he got the three actors, Joshua Leonard, Michael C. Williams, and Ray Hance, formerly Heather Donahue, all together on Zoom to talk about exactly what they are demanding from Artisan, now Lionsgate, and Blumhouse, mainly Lionsgate, because Lionsgate really just came to an agreement with Blumhouse to try to reboot the movie again and make another movie. And it's coming up on the 25th anniversary of Blair Witch. This is the 25th anniversary year of that movie. So basically the three actors wrote an open letter to Lionsgate on April 20th requesting quote unquote meaningful consultation on any future Blair Witch related projects that would likely result in the use of their names and faces, and requesting retroactive and future residual payments for the movie, quote unquote, equivalent to the sum that would have been allotted through SAG-AFTRA had we had proper union or legal representation when the film was made. The key point to understanding this is you have to go back to when the Blair Witch Project was made and released. We were young. So when we learned about this, the buzz was long over. But basically, in 1999, the internet wasn't what it was today. This was a movie made on a shoestring budget that got three basically theater actors involved in the production of this movie. They were given cameras and they were given a script outline for what they had to reenact in the woods. And it was the producers and the people, the very few people, limited crew members behind it that were making those sort of stick figure things and hanging them throughout the woods and kind of giving them a guided map on where to go. When the movie premiered at Sundance Film Festival, it was passed off as a real life student movie. And the actors had to go into hiding pretty much after the movie came out for about 9-10 months because it had to make it look like they were missing and presumed dead. Well, obviously, consequently, then they thought, well, we're going to go into hiding. This movie's going to get acquired, which it did by Artisan Entertainment. We're going to get money from this then eventually because they can't work. Yeah. They can't really work. They can't work in the entertainment industry, rather, at the time. One of the most moving parts of this long piece is when Michael C. Williams, the actor who plays Mikey in the movie, they all play their real character names. Love my webcam going out right now. He says, though, and he quote, "I'm embarrassed that I let this happen to me." He said, "You've got to put stuff away because you're a fucking loser if you can't, because everybody's wondering what happened and your wife's in the grocery line and she can't pay because a check bounced. You're in the most successful independent movie of all time and you can't take care of your loved ones." And that's really I think the most powerful part of this whole thing is that it's really, I think the most shocking is like how they didn't come out after the most recent reboot, and they had the restraint to still, or they didn't feel like it was the time to come out, or they really didn't think that they would have the power and the movement behind them to do so now. The sad part, which is also noted, I was going to try to find it here really quick, with the is when they were talking to a representative for SAG-AFTRA, the author of the Variety piece, Adam B. Very. He says it's complicated, this situation, because he said he's hopeful that the performers will achieve some compensation, but when there is no union contract covering the production, the actors in the union are generally limited to appealing to fairness. And of course, Lionsgate representative declined the comment for the story, as well as former executives at Artisan Entertainment, which I doesn't exist anymore either. So I don't know what's going to happen with this, and I'm afraid it's not going to be back and better than ever. It's Sleepless with Steve, live on this special Tuesday night. Due to some obligations on my end for tomorrow, we pushed this show up a little bit to talk about the drama. And again, there's so many different ways you can dissect this thing that I think is really fun. I keep going back though to the fact that like I think Borgley very similar to Lanthimos. Now Yorgos Lanthimos loves kind of bending reality, and in some ways this movie does too, because there's a lot of scenes since this movie, as Joe noted, is really made through Charlie's perspective. He starts seeing versions of Emma that are contradicting what's happening in reality that are like part of his mind. And the way that that is communicated in the movie is very effective. And it goes back to the editing, and it goes back to a lot of the interjection of flash cuts and things like that. But what I think Borgley does really well here is the movie can get weird. It doesn't get Yorgos level weird. It doesn't get like reality bending in a strange way weird. It just shows sort of the rapid disintegration of like a man's sanity.
Yeah.
And also sort of how like attempts to damage control or like rationally sort of assess the situation just get worse and worse because nobody's operating with a clear head. So this movie, for a movie that kind of in a relatively short time of like an hour and 45 minutes, covers a lot of bases and is really successful in how it handles a lot.
I wrote that down too. I said I was gonna be like one of my closing things. The most impressive thing about this movie for me too is that it packs so much in under 2 hours, and everything like has time to flourish. The actors, the directing, the writing, hell yeah, and even what you're saying too, Steve, the editing, which this movie does owe a lot of its credit to the editor, because a lot of these scenes that like whether it just knows perfectly when to be like, all right, we're gonna cut to this for a joke, or we're gonna cut to this to amplify like the tension in the room, or just make it even be like, oh my god, dude, this wedding's becoming more and more of a keg bomb that's about to go off.
It's like I said, Hitchcockian. They drop so much shit. I can't wait for a film student to dissect this, because like they drop so much shit early on that it just keeps compounding and compounding and compounding. And I mean, that's also just basic good writing, but the way that they do it, and they don't pay it off until the wedding, it's classic. I'm sure it's not the first movie to do that, but it's a really damn good recent example of such.
Yeah.
And it's a whirlwind, because like, yeah, by the time they let off a little bit of steam throughout the movie, but you are just waiting for that shit to drop. And it's whew, when it goes off, and it goes off in spectacular fashion. It's really good. Like when people are like got their hands on each other, people are being pushed around the room, and like my biggest laugh, honestly, was when that scene was like, oh, the hurricane was like fully like happening, right? The tornado has landed. Sorry, Steve, but like the photographer is taking photos of all of this. Those flashes, like, why is the photographer taking photos during all of this?
She's got to get paid, man. She's like, hell, I'm gonna get something out of this.
That was for her. That's just her personal memory.
This is going on my portfolio, not my not my website.
Honestly,
I loved too how, again, kudos to the editing, but like the big like moment of the wedding, like it's like it's revealed and everybody drops their forks and is like, oh my god, and then one person has a certain reaction, and right when it's like, holy shit, how bad could this get? It jump cuts to like an hour later, and it's just following Charlie, and you see his face, and it's just the aftermath of it, and then we go back.
They knew when to cut it. They knew when to cut.
It was like it hit even harder, because it's just like seeing him go home by himself. You're just like, fuck, dude, like how else did this play out? To where like when we finally do go back there, it's like, oh Jesus Christ, this is about as bad as I thought it was gonna be.
And then the MVP of the editing too, that just gives you enough context. And you know what too, like she's done so much. I go back to like Zendaya too. She's really good here. I still think
this is probably my favorite role of hers, honestly. I really loved her here.
A lot of people would probably say Challengers is her best if they've seen it.
Yeah.
I put this like neck and neck, even though I think she was more explosively emotional in this. I still think this is like tied with Malcolm and Marie in my mind.
That's top
Like,
3 for me as well. It's that Challengers in this as of now. Like
that's
I
the
love,
trifecta.
Yeah.
That's definitely the trifecta too. She's got really good control over her face too, and it's something I've noticed. Like in Challengers a little bit, but here, like she would have been really good in the silent era of movies. Like her eyes, like her like how she'll do like
just mute Malcolm and Marie.
There you go.
Because it's in black and white. No, I'm kidding.
Or like just like if you watch her eyes, it's like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like just the way she'll do that. And say a lot without saying anything too, and she's so confident in both of those movies too. Like it's weird to see her in a vulnerable role like this. You know what I mean?
I think that's
She's
why
not
too.
Somebody that gives that sort of demeanor off in the roles that she's played in the past.
I think that's why too. This is probably my favorite. I mean, yeah, it would be this or Challengers because I love her as the character of Tashi. I think that character is really interesting to like see that whole character play out from beginning to end of that story. But like I look back even like let's just say the blockbuster role she has, and it's like as MJ she's very closed up, she's very like sarcastic and like kind of like has like the emo girl thing to her and everything. And then with oh my god, what the hell is her name in Dune? I should know this. I read the damn books. Chani, thank you. So many other fucking words and languages in that book that I'm trying to keep track of that I can't remember characters. But as Chani, she's like, this, she's more of a fighter. She's kind of a rebel even against like, the people that she's with. She's more of like the new generation of, oh my God, again, can't remember, Stilgar and all of those people, basically, whatever the people of the Arrakis are called. Arakians, duh. And so like, yeah, like she's part of like that youthful, like, like, hey, like, we're not part of this, like, old thing of believing in this, like, God that's going to come down and like lead us to victory. And we know that's all made up and everything. So she like has this more toughness to her in all those characters. Like even as MJ, she has like a toughness to her because she didn't want to like, show Peter Parker that she was into him and everything. So like, I think that's why too, like this one was so unique to see because it's like, I think Zendaya is a great actress, but it's just like with this movie, it's like I think she's even like this is probably her best for me because she's playing something uniquely different than I've been seeing in the past. Even with TV show roles like in Euphoria, she is playing someone who's trying to be like all tough and like knows what they're doing, but is like a complete shit show. Yeah, like that's probably why I really like her. And hell, I mean, this is one of 4 movies we're going to be seeing in her this year, so I can't wait to see the next 4.
Yeah, I love the way that this movie can make you feel uncomfortable and sort of like the term secondhand embarrassment comes to mind.
Oh yeah.
And I think the only thing that would have behooved this movie or improved it, in my opinion, would have been a little bit, and it's hard to say this because of the fact that it's really tight for being less than 2 hours. Potentially a little bit more time with Charlie and Emma because it kind of goes from the awkward meet cute to the wedding planning in a span of like 15 minutes. And I admire it. I admire the tightness of that. I admire the concision and the fact that like we're dancing around the twist. The twist is revealed within the first 20 minutes. Not even the revelation, I guess you would say, Emma's character is revealed in the first like 20 minutes. But its after effects are so smoldering and the shrapnel from it is so large and far reaching. But I think the only thing that might have behooved it would be getting a grasp on the origin, on like the start of their relationship. I think you could have maybe done that in like 5 to 10 minutes, but it also though at the same time, and this is just more just kind of rambling at this point, the intro is great too because it shows how this relationship begins with a lie.
Yeah.
How it begins, with a fabrication there. And maybe that was a great seg. I don't know how you guys felt. I would not have minded maybe 10 more minutes of just Charlie and Emma as a couple before the engagement.
On the drive home from this movie where I was stuck on the highway because there was so much rain that I had to pull over because I was starting to slip inside. My friend and I were just talking in the car, and I even brought up that, like, I kind of agree. My only criticism with the movie is that I do kind of wish we had more time with just them as a couple before everything started to unravel. I would have loved to have seen a first date, the proposal, all that kind of stuff just slowly build up. It just, not because, like, okay, those are essential to a wedding movie. No, it's not even that, like a romance movie. It's just, I would have loved to see these characters, like, just a little bit more at these pivotal moments, because it was like, I even thought, like, the meet cute, even though it does start with a lie, at first I think it's, you know, it's kind of relatable what he's doing and everything. And so you want to impress a girl and everything, sure. Oh, I guess we do go on their first date now that I think about it, but even that was a bit awkward. But, like, I would have loved to just spend just some more time, because it's just like, it would just help, like, you know, give me even more care to, like, you know, maybe keep fingers crossed that, like, things work out for these two. I was, like, hoping for it to, as the movie was playing, but then, like, again, my perspective of these characters start to change as the movie plays out with Charlie, Emma, almost everybody.
I am actually going to not hard disagree, but only because I would like to see it again and make that call. And to the director here, clearly, just from this movie alone, because this is the first one that I've seen, I think there's enough intelligent editing choices here.
Yeah.
That, I mean, I know he's not like the editor, but you know, it still comes down to the director. But for Borgley, yes, for Christopher Borgley, I think I can respect him enough where it's like, I think that opening when he's just writing the speech,
it's so good.
I think that's just supposed to be the overview of the relationship,
yeah.
And that's all we get,
that's
and
fair.
It's for that reason alone. So I think I'm comfortable with that. Steve made the best point, which is that it is based off of a lie. However innocent or white of a lie it is, it does. That's the story, isn't it? And
I'm telling you, when you watch this a second time, you get a whole different view of, like, almost everybody from the get-go.
100%. I think we talked about it either in the green room or Steve wasn't here, but Joe and I said that it really is revealing when Zendaya does her thing, that how everyone else reacts to that, specifically in that scene. There's shock, of course, but even as it wears off, it just drives everyone insane. And then it brings out Zendaya's securities here too, because I think, if I remember correctly, she does do a couple of what I would consider missteps in the movie, even past the reveal, not just her youth.
Yeah.
That in her high school, I should say.
Yeah.
That it all falls apart. It all comes apart in this kind of, not screwball comedy, but just comedy of errors. Comedy of errors would be more accurate. Yeah.
I like how you said that. We teased at the end of the show last week, Joe and I were kind of dancing around the thing that I think we both went in not knowing. The opening title cards. Did you catch one of the producers of the movie, Dom?
No, I did. I think I was so pissed about the timing.
No, you're totally fine, and I admire your commitment. No,
is it Ari Aster?
Yeah.
Yep, produced by Ari Aster.
Wow.
The minute I saw that, I was like, hold the fuck on. That means some crazy shit's about to go down in this movie.
That was a jump scare. That was a jump scare.
It was. I was like, oh, no.
DJ is Joaquin Phoenix. No.
Produced by the man in most need of a hug.
Dude. That second DJ that showed up, that dude, it was so freaking funny.
Oh, Bob. Yeah, man, dude. Funny story. Not even funny story, but, like, Jack Harlow saw the movie, and on his letterbox, he's like, I'm not gonna lie, that backup DJ is one of the best characters I've ever seen.
His introduction was so smooth.
It was so smooth, so funny, and again, helping alleviate some tension that's happening at the wedding itself. But even the whole thing about the first DJ they're originally supposed to hire, and what they discover about her, like, I'm telling you guys, when you guys go watch the movie a second time, even that scene, you're gonna think differently, knowing how the rest of the movie plays out, and you're just like, huh, like, this is kind of like, a little
Right,
bit
yeah.
revealing even for the two characters that are talking about this.
Yeah, and how they're trying to like rationalize that and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah.
You know, really well said. Do we want to go into closing thoughts on this?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Indeed. I was going to say, if you want to start us off, Joe, I'll
Oh,
wrap up,
yeah.
then I'll conclude.
This is the first movie of the year so far that I went to go see twice. So this is boding very well for my top 10. Um, as of now, it is still 3.5. It's gone up a half star. With the first viewing I saw it, I gave it like 3 stars. The longer I thought about it, I was like, no, I really want to go see it again. Then it became 3.5. I can't wait for this to come, like, because I'm gonna own this movie. I want to buy it and own it. I do want to watch it again because I feel like this is gonna be a movie that every time I watch it, there's something more I appreciate about it. Whether it's the filmmaking, whether it's like I have a whole analysis about it that it makes me enjoy watching it more and more again. Um, it potentially could be a 4-star movie. And here's the other thing too, because we all talked about how great the filmmaking is, but Steve mentioned this at the start. The best thing that's going for this movie right now is the discussion happening around it with audiences. I have had so much fun with friends, people even online in comment sections, which I don't say often about movies because it's normally I'm avoiding that type of shit. But the coolest thing that happened was, and I never have had this happen unless if I go to like an Alamo Draft House. After the movie, while a bunch of dudes and myself were waiting outside the bathroom for either friends, girlfriends to come out of the bathroom and everything, people were talking about this with strangers and asking them like what did they think about like not just the movie but like what would you do if you were in this scenario? How did you view this? Were you sympathetic? Did you understand where this person was coming from? And it was just so refreshing to see that with a movie that I haven't like experienced that in so long, where we're actually like with random strangers, I'm talking to them about like analyzing the movie. And not just being like, when I saw, I don't know what came out this year, but like the like some action movie that came out early in the year, and I'm just like, dude, that part was so awesome. I was on the edge of my seat. It's like, no, like we're really getting into like character stuff and everything, and it was just so refreshing to see that happen. Not that it plays into the movie's rating, but like, God, is it so good to get a movie like this again that can, bring up conversation with people like this and have a discussion. It is, 3.5 out of 4 stars for me.
I think I got to do the same. 3.5 out of 4 stars, simply because the tension, the payoff, the acting, the frenetic editing at times, tasteful and strategic, really just is brilliant. And I had such a good time with it at the edge of my seat, especially as you all see it coming down. The only thing I would probably criticize the is just how certain plot beats are portrayed. Maybe that is how they're meant to be, but for me, I feel like there maybe things could have been more evened. I have to be vague because it leans heavily into the plot, and into the spoilers. But for me, it's like, okay, maybe things could have been more portrayed differently, more sympathetic in this, and just make it feel more even, so that I'm not thinking the whole time, what the hell, guys, which slightly took me out of it. But it really just does not sully wholly everything else about this movie that is a must watch for sure.
Very solid 3 out of 4 stars for me. I'm looking forward to watching this again because I do think that this is going to have a lot of staying power too. I know I've said that with a few movies before, but I think the conversation afforded to this movie has been really riveting. I think the performances are all uniquely compelling in their own way, from Zendaya to Pattinson, and then even going down the line for the supporting characters, right down to Zoe Winters, as we mentioned her cameo earlier. Christopher Borgli now is a made man in my eyes. Between Dream Scenario, which was very impressive, and I highly recommend that for a backwatch for you guys too. I think it's on HBO Max at the moment. And also this, just how compelling this is, really, from the jump, and just how extremely well edited it is. I think Borgli and Joshua Raymond Lee, the editor, who I've mentioned several times before, were just completely on the same page with how to uniquely tell this story, and make it captivating and live up to its name. And in a way that wasn't like saccharine or overblown or anything like that. I keep going back to Dom's statement of calling it a distinctly American comedy of errors, and I think that's a really fitting way to put it. So it's 3 out of 4 stars for me as well.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
I saw somebody say the actress that plays Misha, like her and Emma Stone should play sisters in a movie, and like just like be like, you know, just angry at, like, you know, have like I think somebody said I need them to have like a bitch off or something, and it's just like that would be cool.
It's the eyes. It's the big eyes.
The big eyes, yeah.
Elena Himes like monologue in this thing, which I know is going to become like sort of infamous, you could almost visualize her practicing it in the mirror. It's so good.
Mm-hmm.
It's so well handled with that wine glass as a supporting character in that whole thing.
Oh,
you
dude.
know. For next week, I see we have an either or recommendation for you, Joe. What do we want to decide on? Lee Cronin's The Mummy or Normal?
I mean, I'm leaning towards The Mummy. Because I really want to see where Lee Cronin's gonna do with that after seeing Evil Dead Burns, or Evil Dead, whatever the hell it was called, Rise. There we go.
What about you, Dom?
I'll do it. Yeah.
Okay.
Mummy.
There it is.
I was gonna say,
right.
as
Lee
long as
Cronin's
Dom's
The
cool
Mummy
with it, I would love to do that. There's some other horror movies I'm like, no, let's definitely not let Dom do that, because that's gonna, if he's not a horror fan, he's not gonna be into this. But I feel like Lee Cronin's The Mummy, like with it being body horror, I think maybe that would be cool to do.
If you've seen Blumhouse's marketing campaign on Twitter, they keep tweeting Brendan Fraser is not in Lee Cronin's The Mummy. They've tweeted that like 5 times every single day. I think Brendan Fraser is not in Lee Cronin's The Mummy, and it gives me a great softball for my review. How come nobody asked if Lee Cronin was in Brendan Fraser's The Mummy? And I go back to this when we reviewed Evil Dead Rise 2. Lee Cronin's a great name. If I was Lee Cronin, I would go by Le Cronin. L-E Cronin.
Le Cronin.
I would go by Le Cronin.
It's pretty good.
I just think that sounds better. That said, we'll tackle that next week. I appreciate you guys making a special accommodation on this Tuesday. This is not the norm. We will be back next Wednesday, same time, same place, 6:30 Central Time. For Joe Viso, Dom Guanzon, and yours truly, this has been Sleepless with Steve.